All right, thank you guys. Happy Sunday to you. And welcome to our NBA free pick. I don't know what. Like a casino dealer. Anyway, welcome to our NBA free pick video here today for January 9th, 2022. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. And of course, if you're getting ready for the big college football national championship on Monday night, just as I am, you may want to think about signing up for my college football tier package picks on that very same website. We're currently 6-1 in our last 7 picks in that category. And the links for those college football tier package picks is in the description section below. And if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on that website, you may want to think about signing up for my board member tier, where board members get access to every single pick that I give out on that webpage all the way through the end of January. Now, if you were to sign up for my board member tier here today, the math will actually work out to be just $2.17 a day all the way through the end of the month. And I'll tell you this much, on an average of 5 premium sports picks a day on that site, that actually works out to be just around 43 cents a pick. So that's pretty cheap. But anyway, as far as the free picks go, let's go ahead and start with the Hawks taking on the Clippers, 3:30 Eastern tip-off. Atlanta is minus 4.5 with the total at 225. But despite being favored in this one, it's actually the Hawks who lost 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they covered the point spread in just 30% of those contests. Now, Atlanta's also got themselves a losing record on the road, and they currently rank in the bottom 10 in points allowed per contest when traveling. Now, they're squaring off against a Clipper team who successfully covered the point spread against the likes of Brooklyn, Boston, and Denver here recently. The Clippers are also allowing just 106 points per contest at the Crypto Center, and they currently find themselves in the top 3 in guarding the 3-ball at home. Now, scoring-wise, Reggie Jackson's averaging over 16.5 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Marcus Morris is scoring 16 points a game himself, along with 5 boards and a couple assists as well. When it comes to the injury report, Kennard and Preston are both questionable to play here today. Meanwhile, for Atlanta on the other side of things, Deng and Hunter are out, and Clint Capella, he is listed as doubtful. Now, total-wise, Atlanta saw unders with the likes of Sacramento, New York, and Philadelphia here recently. Meanwhile, the Clippers saw 5 out of their last 9 fall under the line themselves, throwing out that Memphis game. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the underdog LA Clippers plus 4.5 and the under 225. Next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Pelicans versus the Raptors, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Toronto's minus 8 with the total at 225 the total's at 222.5. But despite being favored by nearly double digits, we are looking at a red hot Toronto. I'm trying to spit it. I'm trying to get it. All right, let's start over. We're looking at a red hot Toronto team who's done nothing but cover the point spread recently. Toronto successfully covered the number in their last 6 straight, and they also posted a record of 12-2 against the spread in their last 14. Freddie VanVleet is scoring over 21.5 points a game, along with 5 boards and 6 assists. Now, Freddie's also been really good from downtown. He's drilling 41% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Pascal Siakam scoring 20 points a game himself, along with 8 boards and 4 assists. Certainly some really good production out of both of those guys. Now, when it comes to the defensive play of Toronto, the Raptors are currently in the top 10 in fewest home points allowed. They're taking on a Pelicans team who's winning just 30% of their road games. And they also went just 6-14 against the spread in those very road contests. The Pelicans are scoring only 103 points a night when traveling, and they're making just 32% of their three-pointers in that same category. So definitely some problems with this team away from their home court. Now defensively, on the other end of the court, the Pels are in the bottom three in guarding the three ball on the road as well. And when it comes to the injury report, Satoransky and Hart, they are listed as out. Meanwhile, for Toronto, Watanabe is out for... wow, my doorbell is ringing. Wow, amazing. First time this has ever happened. I knew you'd call. I'm in the middle of a video. It's literally the first time anyone's ever rung the doorbell in the middle of a video.
Where are you recording on now?
I record in here now.
Oh.
Because when I sit on the little bench in there, it hurts my back. Because I'm old and fat. But anyway, I'm literally in the middle of a video right now. Anyway, where are we, guys? Moving on. Yeah, we kind of covered the woes, on the road here. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Satoransky and Hart, they are listed as out. Meanwhile, for Toronto, Watanabe is out for today's game for them. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Pels saw 2 out of their last 3 ball games fall under the posted number. They actually saw unders recently against the likes of Golden State, Utah, and Portland. So I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Toronto -8 in the under 222.5. The next ball game, it is going to be Wizards versus the Magic, 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Washington is -7 with the total at 220. Now the Wizards have struggled on the road this season. Winners of just 9 out of 22 road games, 31% against the number in those very contests. Having said that, though, the Wizards have done a real nice job covering the point spread here recently, as they've gone 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 ball games at any location. Bradley Beal is scoring over 24 points a game, along with 4 boards and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Kyle Kuzma is dropping over 14.5 points a night himself, along with 6 boards and a couple assists as well. Now, the Wizards are currently in the top 5 in the NBA in shooting from the field on the road. They're taking on an Orlando team who lost their last 8 straight. And they also find themselves winning in just 12% of their home games. Now, the Magic's dead last in the NBA in home offensive rebounding. They're also averaging only 100 points a game at the Amway Center. And they're shooting just 30% from beyond the arc there. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Lopez and Carter are questionable. Suggs, Moore, and Carter Williams, they are still out. Meanwhile, for Washington, Harrell, Bertans, Wanamaker, and Hachimura, they are listed as questionable for them. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Washington saw unders recently against the likes of Houston, Cleveland, and Utah. Meanwhile, the Magic, they saw 2 out of their last 3 fall under the posted total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Washington -7 in the under 220. All right, next ball game I have for you. It is going to be Nuggets versus the Thunder, and that's going to be a 6 o'clock Eastern start time. Denver is -7 with the total at 214.5. Now, the Nuggets got the W in 4 out of their last 6 ball games, and they've also got a winning record straight up when favored this year, so certainly some good attributes to this Denver team. Having said all that, though, these guys have struggled to cover the point spread here recently. They actually failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8 outings, and they're covering only 42% of their contests on the road. Now, the Denver Nuggets have had significant problems offensively this season. They're averaging only 106 points per contest, and they're currently dead last in offensive rebounding on the road. Now they're taking on a Thunder team who's been absolute covering machines here recently. They've been doing a terrific job covering the point spread. They actually went 7-3 against the number in their last 10. And they're also 65% against the number in all of their home games. So as bad as they've been with regard to straight up record, if you've been backing OKC with regard to the number, they've certainly been cashing in, a good amount of tickets, this year. And as much as OKC struggled offensively this season, they do still rank in the top 5 in the NBA in offensive rebounding per contest. Now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's grabbing nearly 5 rebounds per contest this season. 22 points a game for Shai as well. He's the team's leading scorer. Meanwhile, Lou Dort is scoring over 16 points a night himself, along with 4 rebounds. Now, when it comes to defensive play, OKC's in the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage. When it comes to the injury report, Favors is questionable to play here tonight. Roby is listed as out. Meanwhile, for Denver, Howard and Corneal, they are out for them. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Denver is 12-9 to the over in all of their road games. Meanwhile, OKC saw games with Minnesota, Sacramento, and the Pelicans get over the line recently themselves. I'm going to lean toward OKC +7 in the over 214.5. Next contest, it is going to be Timberwolves versus the Rockets, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Minnesota's -7 with the total at 232. But despite being favored in this one, Minnesota's got themselves a losing record on the road this season. Winners of just 8 out of 18 away from their home court. Now, Minnesota is allowing nearly 114 points per contest when they travel. And they currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in defensive rebounding. Meanwhile, offensively on the other end of the court, Minnesota struggled shooting the basketball as they're in the bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage. They're taking on a Houston squad who certainly likes to score points late in games. They're currently in the top 10 in third quarter scoring on the road. Now, the Rockets are also in the top 10 in fourth quarter scoring at any location. So the possibility of a backdoor cover is always likely with this Houston team. It doesn't matter how much they get down. Don't count them out because they can score points in the second half. Now, Christian Wood is averaging 17 points a game for the Rockets along with double-digit rebounds. Meanwhile, Eric Gordon is drilling 45% of his 3 balls, and he's averaging over 14 points a night. Now, injury-wise, Matthews is questionable. Sengun is out. Meanwhile, for Minnesota, Beverly is questionable for them. Wright and Bomaro are out. When it comes to the total in this one, Minnesota's 72% to the over on the road this year. Houston's 11-7 to the over at the Toyota Center. I'm going to lean toward Houston +7 in the over 232. Next ball game, it is going to be Bulls versus the Mavericks, 7:30 Eastern start time. The Chicago Bulls are -3 with the total at 217.5. The red-hot Chicago Bulls have won their last 9 straight, and they're winning nearly 70% of their contests on the road. DeMar DeRozan scoring 26.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Zach LaVine's drilling nearly 42% of his three-pointers himself, 26 points a night as well for LaVine. The Bulls are currently leading the entire NBA in offensive three-point percentage. These guys have been great shooting from beyond the arc. They're taking on a Dallas club who's actually in the bottom 10 in defensive field goal percentage at home themselves. That could potentially be a potentially dangerous formula there. Now, the Mavs currently have a losing record against the spread at home. They're also averaging just 104 points a night offensively at the American Airlines Center. And when it comes to the injury report, Porzingis, Cauley-Stein, and Boban, they are all listed as out. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic is questionable. When it comes to the number in this one, Dallas is 14-4 to the under in front of their home fans. The Mavs are also 67% to the under overall for the entire season. Meanwhile, Chicago saw unders recently against the likes of Orlando and Indiana. I'm going to lean towards Chicago -3 in the under 217.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Cavaliers versus the Warriors, and that's going to be an 8:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Golden State is -8.5 with the total at 216. Now, the Warriors are going up against one of the best covering teams in the NBA in Cleveland. The Cavs are currently 14-5 against the spread on the road this year, and they've actually successfully covered the point spread in 72% of their ball games overall for the year. Having said that, though, Golden State has had some really good success at the Chase Center this season themselves. As a matter of fact, they are 17-3 straight up in front of their home fans, and they successfully covered the number in 70% of those ball games as well. Steph Curry scoring nearly 27 points a night, along with 5 rebounds and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Andrew Wiggins is drilling 43% of his 3 balls and averages nearly 20 points a game himself. Wiggins, very good shooting from 3-land this year. And of course, when it comes to the defensive play of Golden State, well, this is actually where these guys thrive. This is the backbone of their team. The Warriors allow fewer points per game than any other team in the association. They're taking on a Cleveland squad who struggles offensively themselves. They're averaging only 107 points a game, and they're currently in the bottom 5 in fourth quarter scoring. That could be very problematic for Cleveland backers. The Cavs also lost their last 10 straight against Golden State, and they successfully covered in only 20% of those head-to-head meetings. Now, total-wise, Cleveland did see 3 out of their last 4 ball games get over the posted number, 5-2 to the over in their last 7. Meanwhile, Golden State went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Golden State minus 8.5 in the over 216. Next ball game, it is going to be Kings versus the Blazers, 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Portland is -1 at home with a total at 224.5. Now, the Blazers still have a winning record at home, and they're also in the top 3 in shooting the 3 ball in front of their home fans. Having said that, though, Dame Lillard and CJ McCollum, they are both out indefinitely, so those factors I just mentioned really don't come into play with that in mind. Now, the Blazers have lost 6 out of their last 7 ball games. They successfully covered the point spread just once during that span. And when it comes to defensive play, there's really not many teams out there who's worse. The Blazers are currently dead last in defending the 3 ball. They're also letting their opponents make 48% of their field goals against them. They're squaring off against a Sacramento team who beat the likes of Miami, Dallas, and OKC here recently despite their struggles. Now, the Kings also find themselves in the top 10 in the NBA in guarding the 3 ball on the road. Now, offensively, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Harrison Barnes is averaging over 16 points per contest, along with 6 boards and a couple of assists. Now, Barnes is also drilling 42% of his shots from downtown. Meanwhile, Buddy Hield is scoring 15.5 points a game himself, along with 3 boards and a couple assists as well. Now, when it comes to the injury report, Holmes and Maytu are out. Meanwhile, Harkless and Fox, they are listed as questionable, so keep an eye on their status if you're looking to fire on this game. Meanwhile, for Portland, on the other side of things, once again, Lillard and McCollum are both still out. Larry Nance is sitting this one out today as well. And when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Portland's last 4 got over the posted number. Sacramento went 3-1 to the over in their last 4 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Sacramento Kings +1 and the over 224.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup of the show. It is going to be Grizzlies versus the Lakers, and that's going to be a 9:30 Eastern tip-off. LA's -3.5 with the total at 227. The Red Hot Lakers have won their last 4 straight. They also went 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. LeBron James is averaging nearly 29 points a game, along with 7 rebounds and 6 assists. Meanwhile, Russell Westbrook is scoring nearly 20 points a night himself, along with 8 boards and 8 assists as well. Now, Los Angeles currently finds themselves in the top 5 in the NBA in scoring on average per contest. Offense and getting buckets has not been an issue for the Lakers here this year. They're taking on a Memphis team who did win a bunch of ball games recently themselves, but they do find themselves in the second of a back-to-back here today, and they have a bunch of guys who are questionable to play here tonight. Adams, Anderson, Brooks, Morant, Concher, Tillman, Terry, and Pons. They are all listed as questionable to play here tonight for Memphis. So certainly some problem areas there with regard to just availability of their roster. And of course, when it comes to defending the three ball, the Grizzlies are really amongst the worst in the league to do that. Memphis is currently in the bottom 5 in defensive three-point percentage on the road. Now, offensively, on the other end of the court, these guys have struggled a bit shooting the basketball as well, as they currently find themselves in the bottom 10 in offensive field goal percentage on the road, and they're in the bottom 10 in shooting the three ball away from home as well. Now, total-wise, 2 out of Memphis's last 3 got over the line. Overs against the likes of Cleveland and the Clippers. Meanwhile, the Lakers went 70% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Lakers minus 3.5 in the over 227. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are 6-1 in our last 7 college football tier package picks. I like the LA Clippers plus 4.5 under 225. Give me Toronto minus 8 and the under 225.5. Let's try it again. Toronto minus 8 and the under 222.5. Give me Washington minus 7 under 220. Oklahoma City plus 7 over 214.5. Houston plus 7 over 232. Chicago minus 3 under 217 and a hook. Golden State minus 3.5 over 216. Sacramento plus 1 over 224.5. And with my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward the Lakers minus 3.5 and the over 227. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get access to you're going to get access to those picks that you pay for all the way through the end of January. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Sunday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.